Umar ibn al-Khattab's story begins long before he ever held authority, long before people feared his footsteps in the streets of Mecca. He was born into a tribe that valued strength, loyalty, and fierce pride. In those early days, the young Umar learned to ride, wrestle, track, speak, debate, and memorize poetry. He grew into a tall, strong man with a sharp tongue, a sharp mind, and an even sharper temper. Anyone in Mecca back then would have pointed to him and said, "That one is destined for leadership, whether you like him or not." Mecca at that time was a city at the crossroads of caravans and gods. Idols stood around the Kaaba like a forest of stone. When the message of Islam began, quietly at first, whispered from one believer to another, Umar was among its most vocal enemies. He saw it as a threat to tradition and the order he valued. His reactions were not mild. He confronted Muslims, scolded them, and was always certain he was defending the truth as he understood it. Before he was a leader, before his footsteps echoed with authority through the streets of Mecca, Umar ibn al-Khattab was a force of nature. Born into a tribe that prized strength, loyalty, and fierce pride, he was molded for greatness. From a young age, he mastered riding, wrestling, and the art of debate. He grew tall and powerful, known for his sharp mind, sharp tongue, and an even sharper temper. To anyone in Mecca, it was clear this man was destined to lead, like it or not. In a city defined by trade routes and a forest of stone idols around the Kaaba, a new message began to whisper: Islam. For Umar, this wasn't a revelation, it was a threat to tradition, to the honor of his people, and the very order he knew. He stood firmly against it, confronting the early Muslims, convinced he was defending the truth. The day his life turned is remembered as if it happened yesterday. He left his house with a sword glinting in his hand. His jaw was set, his heart was storming. He walked like a man who had decided to end a chapter with blood, to silence the message that had shaken Mecca. But someone stopped him, speaking words sharp enough to freeze a man in motion. "Why chase Muhammad when your own sister has joined him?" That stopped him cold. He turned and marched to his sister's home. Inside, the verses of Surah Taha floated in the air. He burst through the door, striking in anger. But his sister's voice rose, steady despite the pain. "You can break what is fragile, but you cannot break the truth." Those words shook him. He asked for the pages. She refused until he washed himself. And then, he held the words of the Quran. The verses settled into him, filling every space anger had emptied. His hands trembled, not from fear, but from recognition. Truth had found him. He left that house a different man. He walked straight to the Prophet's gathering. Imagine the tension as the door creaked open. There stood Umar, still fierce, but changed. "I have come to testify," he said, "that there is no God but Allah and Muhammad is his messenger." The room erupted in takbir, like thunder across the desert. From that day, Umar's strength became a pillar for the new faith. He prayed openly when others hid. The lion had changed sides. Armies marched under his strict laws of mercy. Jerusalem famously opened its gates to him without a battle, trusting his character. He arrived walking in the mud, sharing his camel with his servant. He told the stunned crowd, "We are a people whom God honored with Islam. Without it, we are nothing." That is true strength. Becoming a Muslim didn't soften Umar's courage, it focused it. He was the first to boldly ask, "Why are we hiding our faith?" and led the believers to pray openly at the Kaaba. When persecution grew, he stayed with the Prophet Muhammad through every hardship. His advice was sharp and honest, and his love for truth was unwavering. When the Prophet passed away, grief nearly broke the community. It was Abu Bakr's gentle reminder from the Quran that brought Umar back to reality. Later, as the second caliph, Umar saw leadership not as a throne, but as accountability. He'd say, "If a mule stumbles in Kufa, I fear God will ask me why I didn't fix the path." He walked the streets at night, checking on his people. He once carried a sack of food on his own back to a hungry family, refusing help by asking, "Will you carry my sins for me on the day of judgment?" This was Umar, a leader defined not by power, but by justice and humility. Even as the leader of a vast empire, Umar's humility never wavered. He lived simply, ate simply, and slept on the floor. His clothes were often patched. Dignitaries from distant lands would arrive, expecting to see a king in a grand palace, but would find a man sweeping his own floor. His life ended tragically, assassinated during the dawn prayer. When told it was a non-Muslim, he said, "Praise be to God that my killer is not someone who is prostrated to God." As people came to praise his legacy, he humbly dismissed them, saying he would be fortunate if his good and bad deeds simply balanced out on the day of judgment. Umar's legacy is a powerful testament to transformation. He went from being an enemy of the faith to one of its greatest champions. His story shows us that true greatness isn't about being flawless. It's about the courage to confront our own shortcomings and strive to become better. Thanks for watching.